right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, April 19th. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything on your mind, come up to that microphone, give us your name and address, tell us what's up. Call the roll, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Kinsfater.
Here.
Kleeman.
Here.
Kupa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
Volt.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go to consent agenda, A, City Council minutes of April 5th, 2021, regular and closed meetings, recommendation approved. B is the Cemetery Board of Trustees minutes of March 2nd, 2021, meeting recommendation received, and the Planning Commission minutes of March 10th, 2021, meeting recommendation received.
Motion to approve A through C is presented. Support.
Made, supported, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 5, proclamations. We have a proclamation designating April 30th as Arbor Day, so I'll read that to you right now. Sit back and relax and enjoy the melodious tones of my voice.
I can hardly wait.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. Trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. The City of St. Clair has been recognized as a Tree USA by the National Arbor Foundation for now 23 years and desires to continue these tree planting ways. Now, therefore, I, Bill Cedar Jr., by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of St. Clair, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of St. Clair. I urge all citizens to support efforts to care for trees and woodlands and to support a community forestry program. I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. In witness thereof, I do hereby set my hand and cause the corporate seal of the City of St. Clair to be affixed hereto to this 19th day of April 2021, Arbor Day, April 30th.
Very well done.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Ordinance and resolution A, 2113, vacating Christian B. Cause Drive. Mr. Wilson.
I'm going to pass this one over to Attorney Downey.
Okay.
Your Honor, before council is a proposed resolution, which is essentially a part 2 of the public hearing that was conducted at the April 5th meeting, where we have received a request from Magna, the developer of the industrial park, to vacate Christian B. Haas Drive. There were some agreements that had to be negotiated before this matter was brought by resolution to council. Those matters have been resolved. Essentially, they were our easements for sewer and water that will allow the city to continue to maintain the infrastructure there. Having gotten those items resolved with Magna, we're prepared to put this resolution before the city council for approval.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution. I'll support.
All right, the motion is made and supported. Questions? All right, I'll call the roll.
Volt.
Yes.
Kinsfater.
Yes.
Kleeman.
Yes.
Kupa.
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, Your Honor.
Thank you. B, resolution 2114, golf fund deficit elimination plan. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Your Honor. As you are aware, at our last council meeting, the auditors gave a presentation, and we have reported to the state that our golf course fund, Pine Shores, had a deficit as of September 30th, 2020. The deficit was in the amount of $15,384. We are required by law to submit a deficit elimination plan to the State Treasury Department. It's something we've had to do for the golf course in the past. And the actual plan itself is on the back, on the other additional pages on the resolution. You'll notice that the starting position, unrestricted net position of the golf course, again, that negative $15,384. We are proposing a transfer from the general fund, that's that last line in the revenues category, of $26,500. I'll explain the difference between $15,384 and $26,500 in a moment, but you'll see that once we do that change, the unrestricted net position, September 30th, 2021, we're planning to have $338. Unrestricted net position, again, I think a few things real quick to point out. The reason why it's $26,500 and not just $15,384 is when I prepared the budget for the golf course, which was, I started working on it in March of 2020. We didn't know what COVID was. We knew our golf course was going to be closed a few days. I didn't know anything more. So what I had planned on doing was I budgeted for, and council approved the budget, where there would have been a budgeted use of cash at the end of the fiscal year of, I don't have it written down in front of me, but it essentially, that the budgeted cash reduction that was there was the difference between 26.5 and then the deficit that we had, 15,384. So again, over the year, our cash position was kind of holding steady. At the end of the year, there was actually a fairly significant payroll accrual we have to book, and that kind of helped push us into that negative $15,000 ending net position. But again, what that also meant is we didn't have any cash on hand to use for my budgeted use of cash. So my budgeted use of fund balance, essentially. So that is why the transfer is 26.5. Personally, do I think that this is what we're proposing now? We're going to continue to monitor the cash position in the golf course fund. Should we need to increase that amount? Because again, $338 is not a lot of money to have in there at the end of the day. You know, like, we get that, we realize that. So for purposes of complying with the state, you know, we're asking to submit this plan right now. I will say that with the golf course being open the full season this year, we definitely think it's going to do better than it did last year in terms of revenues. We've seen a pretty healthy activity so far this year with the golf course, which is encouraging. And again, another thing to point out is one of the biggest reasons why we had the deficit last year was we weren't doing clubhouse rentals. The rentals budget item in the golf course fund is typically about $30,000 a year. I don't remember what last year's actual collection was, but it was at least $10,000 fewer than $30,000. So again, if we were able to rent that clubhouse out year-round, we would have definitely had a smaller deficit, if not having no deficit to begin with. So I hope that kind of answers the question of why you see 15,384, 26.5, and then kind of our administration's plan going forward to ensure that our golf course, stays in the black.
Is the golf course eligible for any federal money for being forced to shut down?
We haven't been able to identify any sources for that specific.
I think in the private sector, I've seen golf courses and banquet halls getting reimbursed. And I mean, does it make a difference if it's?
I'm not aware that it does.
Yeah, Amy, our city accountant is here.
Just to address that a little bit, we haven't identified a separate grant that is eligible for that. However, with this new money coming in, what we'd be able to do is shift funds a little bit. So we could definitely use some of the grant funds that are going to be coming in under the American Rescue Plan to fill the general fund gap that is filling the void in the golf course. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So a little bit of shift funds, and we're definitely keeping our eyes open, but yeah. I haven't seen anything yet either. So.
And again, it's been a few weeks since we last talked about that. We don't know exactly when we're going to get that money, what the final amount's going to be, so that's why we haven't brought it back up. But we're watching very closely, as are every government in the whole country, essentially.
All right, yes, sir.
Yeah, so how much are you transferring in?
26,500.
Do they pay that back to the general fund?
The golf course fund, there's a line there called overhead, and you'll see that in the expenses. that is currently budgeted this year for a $5,000, transfer. Again, the theory behind that is some of our other administrative staff do spend time doing golf course stuff. We don't do our time directly for there. In the past, that overhead charge had been much higher, about $25,000 a year. However, the golf course was still having deficits. So it kind of seemed counter-cyclical to, if the golf course is in trouble, and you can avoid paying, if we can reduce that overhead charge that was going back into the general fund, because if we didn't, then we'd have to borrow even more money from the general fund, at the end of the year.
This is the second year now, right?
2 years in a row, correct.
You know what the amount was last year?
48,000. So we did improve from 48,000 to 15,000.
You got 48 last year and 26 this year?
That's correct.
And none of it comes back to the general fund.
The deficit was only 15.
Pardon me?
The deficit was only 15,000.
This year? So why
Right.
are you transferring 26 then? 'Cause you lost me when you were explaining it.
Is it for operating costs?
COVID.
Yeah, so the deficit was 15,384. That was where we ended up. But I didn't think we were going to end at negative 15,384. I thought we were going to end somewhere in the black. I don't have that number in front of me right now. I'd be happy to, when the meeting's done, I can pull it real quick.
10,700.
10,000. So I had budgeted, when council adopted the budget this time last year, I had budgeted for a use of cash, so a decrease in fund balance, 10,778. We didn't have $10,778 to spend down at the end of the year, so what you do is you add 15,384 to the 10,700, and that gives 26,500.
Still haven't answered your question. Do they pay it back? They don't pay it back.
You told me that, they don't pay it back.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for this golf fund deficit elimination plan.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
All right, motion made, support. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, call the roll, please.
Kinsfater?
Yes.
Kleeman?
No.
Koopa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Volt?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Resolution adopted, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We'll go to C, Resolution 2115, Woodland Estate Special Assessment. That you?
You took your mask off. You're ready to go.
All set, Your Honor. Before council is a proposed resolution, which is the next step in the process of the Woodland Estates infrastructure project. When this was last before City Council, the resolution that was adopted was instructing the city assessor to prepare a special assessment roll of all the parcels that would be involved. That process through Ms. Loshaw and Mr. Sears has been completed. It's been returned to the city, and at this point, per the ordinance, City Council is required to accept and certify that special assessment roll. And then in doing that tonight, must schedule a public hearing on its acceptance and certification so that anybody who's interested in the tax roll, special assessment roll, may come in and make objections if they have any. And so this resolution essentially sets up two things. It accepts and certifies the special assessment roll as presented by the assessor, and then secondly, schedules a public hearing for I think it's the next regular meeting on May the 3rd, and then there's some procedural details in here as well. There must be a publication and mailing, and I understand Ms. Sturdy's seen to those things sort of in anticipation of tonight's meeting. There's a requirement that the any objections that are made per our ordinance have to be made in writing. That's set forth here in the resolution as well. And then either Ms. Loshaw or Mr. Sears will be present at the public hearing to answer any questions that objectors might have.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
All right, any questions, comments? All right, call the roll, please.
Kleeman?
Yes.
Koopa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yeah.
Volt?
Yes.
Kinsfater?
Yeah.
Cedar?
Yes.
Resolution adopted, Your Honor.
All right, number 7, Fourth Administration. Mr. Ruthie, what do you got?
Few announcements tonight. Just want to say work on this budget continues. Draft is due to council in May. Making good progress on that. You'll receive that at our next council meeting. The budget's due the first Monday of May, which happens to align with our next council meeting. Be on the lookout for that. The bids for Woodland Estates are scheduled to be open tomorrow at 1 o'clock, City Hall, for that project that we just advanced to the next step. So we'll know. This will be nice because when we go to the public hearing next week, we'll actually know what the bid was, so that way if we need to adjust the dollar amount that everybody's paying, we would be able to do so at that time. I have a meeting scheduled on Thursday with Eagle and Fishbeck to continue talking through our loan application, all the projects that we talked about at our workshop with the water plant. So happy to see that is Eagle's continuing to review, and I think it's good because we're reviewing it ahead of before everything's due to the state, so we can make sure that our application, is the very best it can be, in order to secure that loan funding and potentially some grant dollars as well. Lastly, two more things actually. I did get the quote from DTE for streetlight replacement. I'm going to have that at council for your discussion and possible vote next council meeting. I have a few questions I want to ask the gentleman who I've been working with DTE, but it does look very good. It does look like switching to LEDs would save the city about $37,000 annually in electric costs. And the total cost, I don't remember. It was just north of $100,000. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. 105, something like that. But again, more information to come on that. And then lastly, I want to remind everybody of our meeting next Monday, set for 6 p.m. to go over and interview the candidates for the vacancy created by Member McCartney. Again, that is currently set for at 6 o'clock. If anybody needs to change that, so speak now, forever hold your peace.
I'm good with 6.
6 is good, man.
All right, that's set for 6. And that concludes my report.
All right, anything for Mr. Rosen?
Yeah, I got 2 questions. A while back, we were talking about selling the cell tower. Where are we at with that?
I haven't moved forward on that right now. I think, again, if council wants to revisit that, perhaps as a side conversation in a workshop, I think that would be good, because at the end of the day, I was doing more research, and by entering into the proposed easement agreement, what it essentially does is it puts the person who's paying us the money into control in the driver's seat for renegotiating the contract. So, in the case that 20 years from now, when the cell carrier, Verizon, their lease is up, if we sell, we lose. We're in the backseat to the negotiation for, a new term. And I thought that was interesting, I wasn't sure if that was quite worth the cash up front to lose that ability in the future. I'd be happy to discuss with council more if they feel like, that might be something worth considering, but that's kind of why it's been stalled right now.
Because negotiations, where were we at? We were, what, 400,000, 300,000?
Or just south of 500.
Yeah, I was up.
We were just south of, I don't remember the last offer, but it was
480.
480.
I mean, I think it's something that we definitely need to continue talking about anyway. I mean, we don't want to let that go away. Okay.
They're still interested.
Okay. Well, I don't want to see us lose sight of that. And then the other thing is, what's the status of the city pool? Are we planning on opening that?
We are pursuing an opening of the city pool this year.
And as far as the agreement with the owner, do we have anything with the new owner of the pool?
The new.
Should we have some? I know it was originally with the school, but I mean, is that something that maybe we should address before we start putting money into it, that we have a good solid agreement with this gentleman?
They stand in the shoes, they've essentially take the place of the other party, the East China School District, so we have an agreement in place. The concern that we've raised, probably not recently, is that there is a sunset provision on that lease that's, I don't know, maybe within the next 8 to 10 years, and that's something that I think in the long term we've got to address, but in the short term we've got an enforceable lease.
Okay. And
Anybody else?
we do plan
Yeah,
to
real quick,
open
one
it.
question. Are we gonna open up Yaps this year, do you know?
That's the summer program,
Summer
right?
program?
We are planning that, yes.
Okay, just curious.
Anybody else? Mr. Downey, do you have anything?
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Any questions from Mr. Downey? We'll go to C, city departments. Anybody have anything out there? All right, here. No. Authorities, boards, committees, council chairs, council reps. Okay. We'll go to, we have no one to finish fiscal number 9, new business. Scheduled public hearing for the 21-22 annual budget. Mr. Rosie, when do you want that?
I propose we do it the first Monday of June 7th,
June 7th.
at 7 PM.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll go to B, approved proposal for St.Clair Highway project. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Your Honor. One of our street projects this year is a resurfacing project on St. Clair Highway. It's the section right by the cemetery. Sealed bids were received to complete this resurfacing. The low bidder is TG Priest. They have done satisfactory work with the city before. Administration's their RFP and their bid is attached for your reference, and I'm seeking a motion to award this 2021 St. Clair Highway resurfacing bid to TG Priest.
The amount of $58,580.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support, but I do have a statement. Is there any way that, I mean, St. Clair Highway, I used to live down there. It seems like every time that St. Clair Highway was paved or repaired, there seemed to be some sort of underground problems with one of the local businesses. I mean, is there a way that we can put something on them that if we resurface that, if they have to go in there and fix some of their lines, that they can fix the road to our specs?
I think that would all depend on what's in the easement, language of what, typically in easements, there's language that says, property owner, or easement holder has to go in and modify their facilities, they must restore it, even though to a light condition. Without those documents in front of me, I wouldn't, that's what all I feel comfortable saying at this point.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Pufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Bolt,
Yes.
Kinsfater,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes.
carried, Your Honor.
All right, good, thank you. C is special event Artful Dodger. Chief?
Council, I received a request from the Artful Dodger Committee that they would like to have their race on June 26th. All their paperwork is in order, and they have been advised that they will follow COVID-19 restrictions in place at the time of their race.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion made, supported. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Chief. All right, we got a couple of appointments here under D. To the Cemetery Board of Trustees, appoint Larry Silver to a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2023. To the Golf Commission, appoint Pete Kinsey to a 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2021, and Greg Hawkins to fulfill the remainder of a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2021.
Need a motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? E, purchase of Hillside Cemetery columbarium unit.
Yes, Your Honor. In your packet was a memo regarding purchase of another columbarium unit in Hillside Cemetery. The cemetery currently houses 3 units of 40 niches each, and the Cemetery Board of Trustees is recommending the purchase of a 80-unit niche. The details of the purchase are included in the memo, but for purposes of the public, the 40-unit niche is $15,500. The 80-unit is $21,950. It's the Cemetery Board of Trustees' recommendation to approve purchase of the 2-sided niche for a couple different reasons. One being that the trend is moving more towards cremation, burials. Hillside Cemetery is seeing that now too, and collection of the last 3 years of data support that as well. So purchasing the double-sided unit right now will negate the need for another purchase in approximately 4 years. So basically, we're extending the life of the columbarium unit from 4 years to approximately 8 or 9.
Motion to approve.
Support. Motion's made, support, questions?
Is this a budgeted purpose or purchase?
Yes and no. The columbarium unit is a budgeted purchase in the amount of $15,000. So there is a difference of $6,450. And I did speak with both the finance director and the city and superintendent about the difference between that, and I was given approval to come before council. So if you want more details on that, I have a memo, or our accountant is here, and she can discuss where those funds would come from.
Sure.
I printed out our email conversation. Do you want me to just to read that verbatim with the? You can do that. You know? Okay. So I discussed the difference in price, and then...
I'm good with that. I just wonder where's the $6,450 coming from? Is that general fund, or where's the money coming from?
It will be the general fund, but basically last year, the cemetery had, what was, I can't remember the numbers offhand, it wasn't an email, I think it was 40,000. Below budget.
I see. Cemetery used over 40,000 less in general fund dollars than were budgeted. In effect, putting more dollars into fund balance to cover the additional expense.
Okay.
So again, we're using general fund balance on this. Cemetery fund last year underperformed what it was allowed to spend, so we're essentially carrying forward those savings, that fund balance we carried over is where we're using.
Any other questions?
So the motion would need to include a waive of the competitive bid process because we are using the same vendor because they use the same quarry, which would match the granite that we currently have. So the motion would be to waive the competitive bid process and approve the purchase of a fourth columbarium unit and the price of $21,950.
I think it was already moved, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Moved by Laporte and seconded by Bolts, I believe.
All right.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Laporte?
Yes.
Bolts?
Yes.
Kinsfater?
Yes.
Kleeman?
Yes.
Koopa?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Approve amendment to Cemetery Rules and Regulations Foundation order deadline.
Yes, on that same memo is a request to update the current rules and regulations for Hillside Cemetery, and it would be moving the deadline for foundation orders to be received by the clerk's office from October 1st to September 1st. So this was brought to the attention for a couple different reasons, the highest of which is to hope to lessen the load of DPW in the fall when leaf collection is one of their priorities as well, and sometimes it's difficult to get to the foundation pourings in October. So if we move the deadline up to September 1st, they should all be done by the end of September.
Motion to approve.
Support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 10, claims of council April 8, April 15, 2021.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For number 11, public comment. Any have anything non-agenda items to talk about tonight? All right, we'll go to number 12. Mayor and council, anybody have anything from council? I have one thing. I kind of read through that Arbor League proclamation maybe too fast, but I mean, I think I'm saying what everybody thinks. I mean, you look around this town, we have some beautiful trees in this because people take care of and plant them, so I'm just encouraging people. Never quit doing that.
Thanks.
That's all I got.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Report, you in?
I'm good. Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Have a good night, everybody. Plant a tree someday.